I'm a campus ministry intern, which basically means I do stuff around here sometimes, when I feel like it. Before we get started with tonight, let's just recap where we are, because we weren't here last week for Ash Wednesday. So we started the semester with this like prayer, the mission, right? That was given to us by Blessed John Henry Cardinal Newman. That's a lot of names. Anyway, so Kayla introduced this prayer to us, right? And she talked about how we all have a mission, right? We all have that mission despite like where we are, despite what we're doing, we still have that mission. And we're called to our mission with our vocation, and we're given it to us by God, right? So we all have a mission, okay? Then we heard from Father Rich, who talked about like how do we figure out what that mission is, like that discernment process, what does that look like? And he gave us some really good tools on like how to figure it out, right? And then we heard from Braxton, who gave a really great talk about speaking the truth with love, which is what we're called to, right? Because in our mission, we obviously like have to talk to people about hard stuff, right? So, yes. Now you get to listen to me ramble for the next 20 minutes. And tonight we're like focusing on one particular part, and it's not even a full sentence. It's like 7 words. It's in my perplexity may serve you. And that's a line directly from the mission prayer. So, in my perplexity may serve you. Now, I have a problem. That word perplexity, I think sounds weird when I say it. Like, I literally can't say it. Other people say that I say it fine, but for me, I'm just like, I don't like that word. So instead, I'm going to change it to 2 words. And we're going to talk about those 2 words instead. Sorry, Cardinal Newman, but perplexity. So instead, we're going to talk about perplexity as doubt and as confusion. Now, what makes those different? Okay, so doubt, this is like what I came up with in my head. Doubt is I don't know if that thing right there is true, right? Confusion is I have several options and I don't know what's true. And they work together, right? It's very like cyclical. Like if you're in doubt about one thing, generally you become confused about a lot of things, right? And then once you're confused about a lot of things, you eventually pick one thing and you become doubtful of that thing. And it goes back and forth, this circle of doubt and confusion, over and over and over again. Okay? Now, doubt and confusion are pretty much like the best descriptors of how I live my life on a daily basis. Because I doubt everything. I doubt it all. Like, you guys know Thomas, right? Not Thomas Mabel, like not bicep Tom. No, I'm talking about Thomas the Apostle. It's not that Jesus didn't want bicep Tom to be his fisher of men, but that was a long time ago. We're talking about Thomas the Apostle. Now, Thomas the Apostle literally is called Thomas the Doubter. He's like scene that like defines his character is him doubting Christ after he's been resurrected. He's the guy that like puts his hand in the side of Jesus because he doesn't believe like that's actually Jesus and he's risen. Like that, he's named for the rest of history as Thomas the Doubter. And let me tell you guys, like Thomas the Doubter ain't got nothing on me when it comes to doubting things. I can't even I could literally think of 1,000 different things on a daily basis that I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I do that right? Am I doing the right thing? Like, I'm literally gonna go into my apartment later and be like, giving this talk over again because I'm like, did I say all the things that I need to say? Did I do it right? Am I like doing ministry? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is what's coming next? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Did I do the right things when I was an undergrad? Am I doing the right things as an adult? I doubt everything. I live my life this way, right? Constantly second-guessing myself, constantly doubting. And I even have problems with like the big ticket doubting problems, like, does God exist? Struggled with that one all the time. does God really love me? Despite all my flaws, despite my sin, you know? Those big, like, existential crises, like, had those done them, I go through them, like, maybe once a year. If not more often than that. Like, even when I become secure in the decisions that I make, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I hounded Angel, our campus minister, for months about the application for the campus ministry intern. I like started asking about it in October. Finally, it gets to like day of, and they offer me the position, and I say yes, and then as soon as I hung up the phone, I'm like, what did I just do? Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I can't do ministry, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't what I'm called to, right? This isn't part of my mission. Well, you know, heaven forbid something changes, right? Heaven forbid, like, life takes you on a journey that is not, like, your set path that you have to do, right? Like, heaven forbid, you know, you get called to be a campus ministry intern, or a focus missionary, or a peer minister, or work on exec board, or just be your amazing self in your daily life, right? Heaven forbid, like, you, like, live out your, like, mission. So, let's see, where am I? Oh, this is the part where I say, it's okay. This is the part where I say, it's okay to doubt. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to have those fears. It's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if this is right. But there are two responses that we can have to that. Well, three responses that we can have to that. The first is action, right? The first is, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to keep moving and God's going to work, right? That's action. When you are like confused about like, I don't know, math isn't my greatest subject, so like when I'm confused about math, do I just sit there and go, well, I don't know what to do, so guess I'm just gonna flunk this test? No, like either I do more problems until I understand it, I find a friend to explain it, I go to Kayla and ask her to work her math magic on me, or I like ask a professor, right? You go and you do something until you get it. That's action, right? And there's the second response. There's that helplessness that comes when you're just not sure, when you're just not confident in what you're doing. And that helplessness can be really hard. Like, you guys know what helplessness is, right? That's saying, like, I don't know if I can do anything to fix this problem. That's helplessness. And sometimes that can be like so overwhelming. Like, there is a ton of suffering out in the world, right? Like, there are problems, there are issues, there are problems in my own life, and I don't know if I can do anything to fix it. And so I'm helpless to fix it. But helplessness can be okay for a time, as long as we don't stay there. As long as we don't let that stop us from doing our mission, from moving, from action. We can be helpless at a time. I don't know how to solve all the world's problems, but I can do this one little thing. I can do this one thing. And maybe that'll help that person or this thing for a day, or for a moment, or for a minute. That's one thing that moves us out of helplessness. Because if we don't move out of helplessness, eventually we move into hopelessness. You understand the distinction there, right? Helplessness is I personally can't do something. Hopelessness is nothing can be done. Life is all chance and completely random. Nothing can be done. Right? There's always going to be suffering in the world, so, you know, what's the point? That's hopelessness. And that is not where we're supposed to be. Because we have a creator, we have a God who works. You know, in our doubt, in our hopelessness, in our confusion, he works, he moves. But we have to move with him. We can't sit there and go, well, I don't know what to do, so God, go ahead. Fix the world. No, right? We are his hands and feet here. We need to do something. Even if it's just that small thing, whatever that is. We can't let our doubt, our confusion, our fear, our uncertainties paralyze us into doing nothing. Because that's not what the line is, right? The line is, in my perplexity may serve him. Not in my perplexity, I just stop and I stay there. So, let's see, where we go. Job. Job. You guys know Job? He's in the Bible. He got a book written about him. He's pretty cool. So Job, okay, so God's up in heaven, and Satan comes along. He's like, hey, look at Job. He's like really doing well for himself. He's got, 5,000 head of cattle or something like that. Like an obnoxious amount of cows. They talk about cows a lot in that first chapter. And he's got, wonderful offspring and descendants, and his house is doing so well. Job's like living it up, right? And he's a very holy man. In that first chapter, they talk about offering holocaust, like offering sacrifices, because this is Judaism before the New Testament, so they do that. And they talk about offering a holocaust every morning, just in case one of his offspring might have, sinned. Like, he doesn't actually know that they sinned, just in case something went wrong. He's offering a sacrifice. So Job is a really holy man. And so Satan's up there and he's like, yeah, he's a holy man. Like, you're giving him all this stuff. Let's see what happens when all that stuff is taken away. And Satan goes and messes with his life a little bit. He allows a house to fall on his kids, and all of his livestock are taken by other raiders and people. And then Job gets boils on him, and he's a really bad infection, and he's in a lot of pain. And still he's faithful. And then his friends come along, and his friends try to tell him, well, maybe God is doing this to you because you messed up somewhere, or maybe God is doing this for X, Y, and Z reasons. It tries to explain God, who is beyond our comprehension, right? We can't explain God, right? And eventually Job gets so down that he ends up shouting at God, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? I am faithful. I am yours. And he ends up, just yelling at God. I've done this before. When my parents were little kid me, my parents were you need to go to your room. And so I walk upstairs and I just yell at the ceiling because that's where God lives, because he knows that I'm just really mad right now. Guess what? That's okay too. Job yelled at God, right? Job got really mad at God because he was confused. I'm doing everything right, and all of this is going wrong. He's confused. He doesn't understand, but he knows that God is listening to him. He knows that God has a purpose in this. So it's okay. We can yell at God. He can take it. He's taken a lot more from a lot more people than just you. I'm going to put up the... my brothers go to CDC High School in St. Louis, and they're on the football team. And after every home game, they go over to the cheering section, and then that manly yelling voice that they do, I am one, but I'm not the only one. I can do something, but I can't do everything. But what I can do, ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. For my God, for my school, for my brothers, all for all, God for all. And they go, Christian brothers on the move! And they do that guy yell, Anyway, so this is what they say, right? And I'm talking to my brother Brendan about this talk. He's 17, and he's like, oh, this is just like what we say after football. Because I'm one person, but I'm not the only person. I can do something, that little momentary thing, but I can't do everything because I'm just one person. I'm helpless to do the rest of the stuff. But what I can do, ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. That's our line, right? In my perplexity may serve you. By the grace of God, I will do it. God gives us the grace to do it regardless of whether we feel like we can do it. For my God, for my school, for my brothers, all for us all, God for us all. We do this because we need to do that. We have a mission to accomplish, right? If we sit there with our doubts and let it just force us to not do anything, our mission doesn't get completed. All for us all, or all for all, God for us all. For my God, for my school, for my brothers. I do my mission for everyone else. Because my mission doesn't just stop. It doesn't just go away because I stop. I still have to do something. Right? So that's what they say. And I like it a lot. Hopefully you like it too. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, okay. So we can do something, but we can't do everything, right? So we can do something even when we're in doubt. Even if that something is going to church. Just like going to Mass. Even if, you doubt the existence of God, you doubt whether or not He's actually there listening or whatever. Sometimes just going to Mass helps us work through those doubts. Angel was helping me write this talk, and at one point she said, when people are really struggling with those big ticket doubts, is God real? The best advice she gives to people is to go put their butt in a pew. Because you go through the motions, and eventually, someday, you might feel something. You might be able to say, oh, He actually is here. He actually is loving me right now. Even though I've been saying no to Him, or I'm saying, I don't know if you're real, for a long time. So do something, even if it's just going to Mass, even when you don't know if if anything is happening, just do something. Okay. We don't have to have it all figured out, right? I know that I have a mission. I know that I have gifts and talents that God has given me, but I don't know how they're going to work out in my life. I have a plan, right? I've had many plans, and God works through all of those and gives me opportunities to live out my mission. But I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. I don't have to have it all figured out. You guys are college students, right? Right now, your mission is included in the fact that you're college students. That's part of your mission right now. I am not really a college student anymore. I'm in this weird in-between space, but I'm hopefully going to grad school next year. I'm going to be living my mission in that grad school program, wherever that is. I don't know what that's going to look like. I know what I can do, and I know that I can do something. And I know that I can't do everything. But I have to continue to serve Him, even in my doubt, even in my confusion, even in my perplexity.